What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. We are here for the final episode of F1 2017 career mode in the Mclaren. I thought I'd leave you on a bit of a cliffhanger there, but welcome, guys, to the Brazilian Grand Prix. Not the Brazilian... Shall we start over? No, let's keep rolling with it. Welcome to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Things are completely messed up today, not only with my talking, but the weather conditions. It is raining in Abu Dhabi. This has only happened once before, and that was like F1 2014 career mode, I think, for one of the finales. And yeah, it was a pretty hectic session. The grip was just completely non-existent. I don't think it was raining heavy enough, in all honesty, for the intermediate tires to work. So we literally only did the one lap, the side lap with the track acclimatization test, and the rest of the weekend was obviously fairly dry. But as we move on to qualifying now, P7 in the opening session, obviously not going my hardest. I never do in Q1. I always save the most amount of pace for Q2 and obviously Q3. This weekend we're also going for a stock setup. What I always do is when I come into a Grand Prix weekend for career mode, is I always go on to like time trial, do a few laps, see what setups work the best for a particular track. And for this one in particular, the leaderboards were like dominated by all of the esports drivers who were obviously practicing for this event that happened about a week or two ago. And at the time, all the esports drivers thought that they were using a stock setup, and so they were practicing with a stock setup, and literally everyone was dominating the leaderboards with no setup. So I thought the stock setup can't be that bad around this track if they're dominating the leaderboards. So I thought, hey, let's do it too, and we'll actually be a little bit closer to our teammate in terms of raw performance as well. So we'll see how it plays out. But at the moment, Alonso is thrashing it. Third place at the moment, 4/10 away from the pace setter of Sebastian Vettel in the opening stint of qualifying 3. Our lap wasn't that representative. It was a bit crap, to be honest. I have found that with the stock setup, I found myself missing apexes a lot more. I couldn't really rotate the car as well because the brake bias wasn't as... well, I tuned that as the session went on. I'm actually running with my normal brake bias settings and also differential settings, but the car doesn't rotate as well as what it normally would. With the custom setup, I normally increase the ballast, and that helps the overall responsiveness and makes the car turn faster. But, you know, we're slowly getting used to it now as we get through this qualifying session. Purple to the middle sector at the end of qualifying 3. So we're looking pretty good here for potentially pole position for this Grand Prix. And with Alonso up there as well, it could be a really great race for McLaren. The goal for me this weekend is to get Fernando a podium, or dare I say it, maybe even a race win. So hopefully both McLarens can be up on top by the time we get to the end of this qualifying session. Through the final corner, across the line, I think it was third place, and it is. For this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, just 2.5 tenths shy of Sebastian Vettel's pole time. Not too bad with the stock setup. That really does highlight where this McLaren sits right now in terms of raw performance. We are right there with the front-running teams. So, great to see. And also as well that Fernando was backing me up in P4. Still lacking massively in terms of raw straight line speed. That has actually been patched now. But the thing is, I actually recorded this video literally 1 week ago. So this does not take into consideration Fernando Alonso's upgrades, shall we say, to his straight line performance. I don't know how that is. I'm really keen to get started with Season 4 of Career Mode and see just where Alonso stands now. But as well, unfortunately, I have already switched teams, so I can't stay with McLaren. That definitely would have changed things if I could have stayed with McLaren and the performance was fixed. I think I would have stayed on to win the Constructors, but we're going to a new team. So as we head into the final race, the goal for me is really just to have fun and actually, if anything, give Fernando the race he has always deserved. So hopefully we can do that.
It's been a long season, but let's try to end it on a high note.
Thanks, Jeff. Welcome, guys, to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. In many ways, this is the end of an era for this career mode. We've done So many races with this team. We've come so far from being an ultimate backmarker. What looked like, you know, glory being absolutely hopeless. We've only gone and turned things around in a matter of 2 seasons, or 3 seasons technically, and absolutely dominated the field now. Let's hopefully send the team off on a good note. Hopefully go for the win or a podium. But hopefully before we go, we can give Fernando something to cheer about and give him a little bit of momentum heading into Season 4, where potentially Mclaren could be a new title threat. Here we go, ready for the final race for Mclaren for Season 3. Away we go for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. A lot of wheel spin off the start, and we draw alongside Sebastian Vettel. I believe Fernando got a really good start too through turn 1, and Fernando actually leads this Grand Prix. What an amazing start that was. Third to first, now he's challenging Sebastian Vettel around the outside through turn 4, and he might not get the move done. Well, that's frustrating. That is absolutely frustrating. The only reason why he didn't get the lead of the Grand Prix then was that lack of straight line speed. He was literally alongside Vettel through the whole of the first sector. It was only the lack of horsepower that let him down there. And look at this. Lean revs, lifting off. Not even 100% full throttle there. And we were still catching Alonso. That is how ridiculously slow his car is. It is absolutely outrageous. Like I said, I am really looking forward to seeing the improvements to his straight line speed, because at the moment it is embarrassing, truly embarrassing how slow he is in a straight line. That I'm actually having to hold up the cars behind. Valtteri Bottas is no slouch in a straight line, so this is really putting me in a tricky situation at the moment. But we'll see what we can do. Hopefully, as things settle into a bit of a rhythm, we can get on with this race a little bit. I really hope for Fernando's sake he isn't like saving fuel or anything like that. Like, I really hope he's not running in rich revs and still being that slow. That's all I'm saying. But as we carry on, a few laps into the Grand Prix, Sebastian Vettel is diving in very early for a set of super soft tyres, so he's doing the 2-stop today. I know for us, for a fact, we're going to do the 1-stop, stopping around like lap 11, 12, something like that, and then going to the end. Alonso looks like he's shadowing Vettel, covering him off, and doing the 2-stop. So it's going to be a very interesting strategy for him today. If I was him, probably wouldn't be doing that. I would be doing the 1-stop and just trying to get track position, because when you're Fernando Alonso, when you're so slow in a straight line, overtaking does not come naturally, and that does not naturally suit a 2-stop strategy where you do have to do a lot of overtaking. So hopefully for Fernando's sake, he doesn't get boxed in behind some slower cars in this grid, because that'll absolutely kill him. Let's have a listen to the team radio.
So the gap to our teammate is 15.9 seconds. They're on fresh super softs. The time last lap was a 1:42.3.
Okay, so there's a bit of an update on Fernando's status. I was hoping to get a positional update to see where he was in the field, but as things stand as they are at the moment, we will rejoin behind Fernando after we make our stop. But yeah, we've heavily compromised our race so far in the early stages. I mean, we left 3, 4, maybe even 5-second gap to Sebastian Vettel in that opening stint, but we are doing the 1-stop today, so I think overall our race isn't compromised too much. Like, despite like trying to help out Fernando for the opening few laps, we still lead this race, and we are still in a really good position to maybe even take out the race win ourselves. We'll have to wait and see. The tyre wear today has actually been pretty good. I was noting to myself that like 5 laps into the race, there was only like 20% tyre wear on the ultra soft tyres. I was like, where's the tyre wear? Like, what's going on, lads? But yeah, I was actually really surprised about that. So heading on to the harder compound, I think we might be pretty good to go to the end and not really struggle for tyre wear at all. But as we rejoin on the track, really nice stop from the McLaren boys. They have been really solid in that department of the car, or just pit stops in general. They've really coming in clutch for pit stops for me, so I can only applaud them for that. That is something that will take a hit when we go to a new team. I think all the core competencies will be reset, so we can look forward to some really slow pit stops when we go to a new team next season. But meanwhile, this is Fernando making a move on Carlos Sainz in the slipstream and DRS of the Williams ahead, and he makes a dive to the inside and gets the move done. That was something I was not anticipating seeing at all today. I don't think I've seen that all season. I have literally not seen Fernando make an overtake on track ever. Like, this is the first time. Bear in mind, I don't really keep up with his races, but this is the first time I have, and there we go. I was really impressed by that. So Fernando does have a little bit in his locker, which is absolutely awesome to see. But as you can see here, there is a massive train, all headed up by that Williams up ahead. I think it's Felipe Massa. Alonso is second in that train, and I want to get to the front of it and get in front of these danger men like Lewis Hamilton, or like Sergio Perez right here, like you can see. Anyone who's really a threat to Alonso and actually in danger of actually overtaking him in this race. Valtteri Bottas will be a huge threat, and we need to get to him ASAP because he is a front-running guy, and I believe on the same strategy as Fernando Alonso. But here he goes. Bottas to the outside. I can do nothing about this. Here he goes to the outside. Fernando goes really late under brakes as well, by the way, and holds on to effective P2 in this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So I'm doing my best to really help out Alonso, but he is really showing some fighting spirit today now that he is in the battle for potentially a podium. It is really nice to see. Let's please pray that he doesn't get any kind of retirement in this Grand Prix. But up the inside we go on Daniel Kvyat into the final corner, and that is P8 for the taking. Job done. Massive gap to Valtteri Bottas ahead. Make that Fernando Alonso ahead as he gets the move done. So Bottas moves into effective P2. Alonso drops to P3 effectively. Sebastian Vettel absolutely walking away with this one, unfortunately. I think Fernando yeah, just got held up by traffic, whereas Vettel was able to cut through that much easier. So we're in a bit of a tricky situation here now. Do I overtake Fernando? Do I hold back and let him try and overtake Valtteri Bottas? Well, the answer is I had no response. I had no response to Valtteri Bottas and Fernando Alonso, who were on the fresher tyres or faster compounded tyre. I was actually pushing full on. You can see me going green to all my personal best lap times. That was all I had. I couldn't keep up with them. Like, they were that fast. I think Valtteri was punching the hole in the straight line because of his, you know, obviously Mercedes OP engine, and Fernando was just staying with him in the corners because Fernando, I think, is the fastest car in the third sector. So it was turning out to be a really good combination there, and they were working together to pull away from me, which I was really impressed about. But they finally make their last stop. Valtteri onto the soft compound tyres, Fernando onto the supers, and unfortunately gets jumped in the stops. So he's going to have to do all that work again, and unfortunately he's rejoined behind Jolie and Palmer, of all people, in the Renault. And yeah, I really hope he can make the move on Jolien and not get held up behind him for too long, because he is seriously in a battle to get second in this Grand Prix. He just needs to clear Jolien, and he'll have a really good shot at Valtteri Bottas. But meanwhile, back to our battle. It looks like we are on target, effective P1 now. So I don't know what this does to Sebastian Vettel, what it does to Valtteri Bottas, what it does to Fernando Alonso. I think it all just knocks them all down a peg, because now we effectively lead this Grand Prix. Raikkonen is on a one-stop as well, so you can notch them even further back. So Fernando at this stage, it looks like he's not going to get a podium, simply because McLaren have screwed him over because of the one-stop strategy debacle. The one-stop is ultimately much faster than the two-stop. It's just the other guys are getting caught up in traffic and haven't been able to make up the time in terms of lap time, because our tyres have been really holding out really well. Like the
time is +1. Faster engine modes are available. Yes, great job, excellent work. First place now, P1.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. You say that as if I've just made an overtake for P1, but I think he fell asleep, because I've been leading for a good while now into this Grand Prix and told Jeff to shut up, locked the inside front, and now I put myself under supreme pressure from Kimi Raikkonen, who may take the lead of this Grand Prix with 6 laps to go. So, like I said, one stop is absolutely OP here. The tyre wear has been almost non-existent. It has been, this track has been really kind on the tyres, and especially with the upgrades we've applied to the car. I don't know why Fernando didn't take this strategy either, because he can't overtake on the faster strategy. So, it looks like without any sort of issues, Alonso is going to finish like P6. He's caught behind Lewis Hamilton now, and he still needs to overtake one of the Red Bulls, and then Bottas, and then Vettel to get on the podium. So there's absolutely no hope for him. It's ultimately down for us now to get this race win, which honestly I didn't see coming. I was trying so hard to get Fernando to win this race, and now all of a sudden we find ourselves in a race-winning position. I just can't believe it. Like, we try so hard for the first 2 seasons to try and win races. Absolutely no hope. We come here, trying not to win the race, and what do you know, it looks like we're going to win the race with only 30-odd% tyre wear. It is absolutely ridiculous, but a few laps to go. Both the Ferrari guys were really putting me under heavy pressure. I made a few mistakes here and there going into the hotel section, ran up onto the curbing once or twice, but overall, the Ferrari boys haven't been able to do anything really up against me. My straight line speed, if anything, has been the saving grace. They haven't been able to get close enough to me in the overtaking zones, and when it comes to cornering, that's not my strength, but I was like, the dirty air was definitely keeping me in the game, and they weren't able to get close enough to me to overtake me. So really, it was just a massive stalemate between the three of us. Vettel had the best pace of anyone because he had the fresher tyres, but overall, nothing was really happening. The only thing that would kind of force an overtake would be a mistake, and I knew that. That's why I kind of toned it back a little bit for the final 5 laps, and then we got to this stage and I started to break out the margin if I could. I'm now starting to run rich revs pretty much everywhere if I can, but it's the last lap of the Grand Prix now, last lap for McLaren, and our last chance to show what we've made of. I just want to say, like, huge thanks to you guys for supporting this series so much. We've come such a long way, and now the journey with McLaren is sadly over. It is the final race win at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, which marks our 8th win, 17 podiums, and for the first time on this game, a World Championship heading back to McLaren.
McLaren have pulled it off. They've won in spectacular fashion here today. Our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations, and it's going to be McLaren picking up the winner's trophy. Congratulations to the entire team for that fantastic performance.
Better soak this in, guys, because this may never happen again. A race win for the McLaren team, and it comes to the final race of the season, final race for the team as well. And yeah, I honestly can't believe we won. In all honesty, I was trying my absolute hardest, as you guys saw, to try and do our best for Fernando, but in the end, we end up getting glory for ourselves. It's almost like a Mario and like Luigi kind of situation, where Mario tries and helps out his little brother, but in the end, it's Mario who comes out on top. That is the worst analogy I think I've ever used in an F1 game ever. But there we go. Let's have a look at the driver's standings. We lead by 107 points. I think this is the most amount of points I've ever scored in a career mode. Very, very close to 400. Maybe if I tidied up a few of those races like USA and got podiums in those, then 400 points would have been a real possibility. Second in the driver and the constructors standings, 94 points to Scuderia Ferrari. Just didn't have the teammate to back us up, so that was pretty much it in terms of the constructors fight. But now it's time for the inevitable contract offers to see who will be driving for in Season 4.
Hey, quick question. How are you here? Are you happy? I mean, obviously, I hope so, but you do have some other options if you're up for a new challenge. Let me just grab the door. I had a call from another team a few weeks ago. And, well, things have moved on since then. These are the offers I've managed to put together for you. You don't have to do anything with them, but let me know what you think.
Thank you very much, Emma. I am going to guess it is from all the top teams, as you'd come to expect. Nothing has really changed in the last, I don't know, 2 seasons. We've always been getting offers from Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull. So, in terms of the context of where we're going to go next season, obviously it is going to be a top team. And hopefully a new challenge. We could go for Mercedes, try and go for the championship with those guys. They are slightly slower than Ferrari. Ferrari, obviously, the best package, most consistent car, seem to be challenging for race wins more often than not when it comes to our Grand Prix weekend. Red Bull, I feel like they're a little bit slower than McLaren at the moment, and look like probably the most logical choice to go for in terms of having really good battles and kind of bringing them a little bit of glory again, and trying to have a really close fight with my former team and trying to get to the front. It definitely won't be easy, that's for sure. But guys, that has been this episode for today. That has been this series, this era of McLaren for F1 2017 career mode. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. As a little treat, let me know what your favorite moment was or favorite episode was from the entire series. 58 episodes. I'm sure there are plenty of very good and probably very bad moments, like the R&D just going completely haywire. Season 1, that was just a complete disaster. But man, we really turned things around so quickly in the last 20 odd races. But guys, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See plenty more F1 2017 content. There will be one more season, at least, of F1 2017 career mode, and it will be with a new team. So hopefully you guys look forward to that. Until then, I'll see you next time.